Welcome in to the Roots Rundown. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today is July 21st, 2026, and I am your host for the morning, Payron Baxter. Welcome in. I hope you all are doing well. Hope you all had a good weekend. We had a great, fantastic last episode with AJ Davis, a content creator out of South Carolina, who we really discussed South Carolina politics, education politics, and then how basically South Carolina and the South really has been the titular head of our political movements for progress over the past 100 years. And not saying that the South itself, but those of us who fought against the system were actually the tip of the spear to actually allow this country to live to its professed ideals. Okay, before we get started, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Roots podcast and platform. We've been growing. We've been having new folks being additions to the chat, folks watching on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and it's been just really so positive. I'm just so thankful for our viewer base, our listener base, folks that send me emails and DMs later on in the week. Hey, I caught your last episode 3 days later, but it's all good. I love it, blah, blah, blah. Here's the notes I have. Here's the feedback, and I appreciate all of it. I appreciate anytime someone says, hey, I think y'all should zig or y'all should zag. I don't know, smile more. I don't know, look more at the camera. I don't know, get a better camera. All these things are things we've been thinking about. All these things are things that we internalize here at the Radical Roots family because we want to be better for you and for the community at large. So, again, thank you all. Again, please make sure you like, send it to a couple friends, send it to a family member, send it to that honorary MAGA uncle of yours if you have that needs to make sure that they are, up to date on things, or feels like they might need to push back on, or you need to push back on certain things that you may not have the words for, that you might have gotten on this show here. So these are all things that I want this show to be in the long run. So I know I need all you guys' help for that. And of course, as you guys see here is our QR code. If you guys could please screenshot that, send us $1 or $2. It allows us to maintain this platform and really keep delivering for you all. And that's the main point of all this. So thank you all for being a part of this family. And we just keep chugging on for you all. So as you all know, we have a ritual on this show that before we get into it, because this show, we cover a lot of topics from between race, politics, gender, geopolitical things on the national stage, that we get into some very heavy topics. So it's very important for us to be able to release those things. So we have a tradition here that I stole from Larry Daniel Favors from Sirius XM's 126 Urban View Radio, but it's the moment of gratitude. And basically, what we do is for a few moments, we sit in our feelings. I don't know what is controlling you, friends. I don't know what is having you bogged down. But during this moment, I want you to release all that. I want you to let go of all that. I want you to focus on the things that is allowing you to be happy, joyful, and grateful. Because when you're consumed by joy, you are not trapped by things like smallness, doubt, fear. So I want you all to walk in your positivity, your joy, and listen to this. This is by a group called the Beautiful Chorus. And they do a fantastic job by just ultimately allowing folks to just, I think, let it out. That's the name of the song. I think it's a really good title, right? Breathe it in. It's really hard to challenge that. So in the next few seconds, you're going to hear the Beautiful Chorus sing their song. And while you do this, please shut your eyes, unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, loosen your butt cheeks, and then just really honestly let it in, breathe it in, and let it out. So here we go. In three, let me restart that. There we go. Technology, y'all. 3, 2, 1. That's right, folks. We got to do it every day because every day it matters. You all matter. Your all's health and prosperity matters because we cannot fight this fight unless we're all healthy. So that is the point of us being able to reset before we get into these heavier conversations. All right, we have a few things on the docket today. I'm going to try to get to as much of it as possible. This one runs long. Feel free to watch it later, come back, share with a friend. I want to hit on some of these things today because I think they're all important and tells one broader story of these. And today's episode is titled Systemic Nodes. A lot of times when we're talking about issues, we think they're all standalone. They all operate within their own silo, but in reality, they're all nodes of a spider web, right? A node meaning point of connection, the point where these things intersect, right? So the nodes of our system, it could be hearing about Nolan Wells, it could be hearing about Israel, it could be hearing about Trump, it could be hearing about Marjorie Green, it could be hearing about Tucker Carlson. All these things are intersecting nodes of our society that we have to be able to examine and then break down. So I'm gonna start off with the funeral of Nolan Wells. If you guys don't remember, Nolan Wells was the young black boy who was went out on a boat with some friends on the 4th of July to, I believe, Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. His homegoing, or his, as we call it in the black community, his funeral was yesterday. And here's some words from his parents, both his parents, and he just give it a moment. We give it a moment of gratitude, give a moment of respect to Nolan Wells, and let's listen to his parents.
He also told us that one day he wanted to have 3 daughters that he would name Sophia, Charlotte, and Olivia. He had a deep love for the Lord and an unwavering faith that was evident in the way he lived his life. Lastly, I ask that each of you keep Nolan's memory alive. Hold him close in your hearts. Share his stories and never stop saying his name. As long as we continue to remember him, his light will continue to shine through us all. Nolan, we love you. We'll continue to fight for you. Yes. And until we meet again, and thank you all for coming. Thank you.
You want it to be the best. So I poured all my knowledge into you that I could by taking you to the gym to work out, taking you to the beach to do drills in the sand, teaching you how to watch film, how to study your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And you carried these teachings all the way through high school and had an amazing run. Also during that time, you made a lot of friends. You helped a lot of people and you became well liked by many. It really warmed me and your mother's heart when we would get a phone call or an email from a teacher talking about something that you did for a fellow student. All the teachers love Nolan. And today it just shows us how much he meant to the community, to the country, and to the world.
Nolan Wells should still be with us. Nolan Wells should have justice. Nolan Wells should not be a footnote for the month of July in 2026 in the United States of America. Nolan Wells deserves to be remembered as he lived, and sadly as he died, as an upstanding young man who had friends that ultimately died at the hands of those friends. We know that. I mean, I don't care if there's no evidence. I know the history of this country, and I know what it's like to be the only black person in a room full of white people, or surrounded by white people. We inherently don't feel safe. And that's only been informed through our history, passed down not only through text, but through memory and movement of memory, through ancestors, through telling stories of survival. The very concept of woke continues to this day. How we tell our children, do not be the only black person around. And if you are the only black person around, make sure your head's on a swivel. Make sure you have my number on speed dial. Make sure you blah, blah, blah. There is a hunt for black people, black men, and they will be let off, and they will be let go, and we'll have to forget about all this and all those young friends of his, who were wearing all the. To me, they're dressed in MAGA, right, with the hats and the certain kind of glasses and all this. Like you can tell their parents are MAGA, and I get it's Mississippi. But Mississippi also has one of the highest black populations in the country. by no means blaming the parents for what happened here, but it just shows why we have to have that conversation. Because as I said on the show, we as Black folks are also insane because we are choosing to cohabitate with our oppressors and abusers. So there's a certain level of conversation we have to have because we are also insane because we want to cohabitate with them, even though this is a threat that is posed to us every single day. Our cortisol levels, our adrenaline, our telomeres on our DNA are all getting shortened because of the stress. But remember Nolan Wells. Do not forget him. Do not allow people to false equivocate that they're in the same boat. For some, and I said that to AJ Davis. I said we're finding more Black folks hanging from trees than I've seen in my entire life. I feel like every week there's a new Black person hanging from a tree. And I fear that we're becoming numb to that, because when it's the Renee Goods and the Alex Preddies, this country's ready to shut it down. When white folks get upset about something, they're ready to go. They storm the offices of Susan Collins. But Black folks hanging from trees and Black folks coming up missing at the hands of white folks, that's just another Tuesday. Our trauma is your Tuesday. Our tragedy is your Tuesday. And I'm tired of normalizing that, because it only allows, like, when I normalize that means that I allow for you to kill me, to kill my children, to kill my friends, to kill people who I don't even know, who are of my community. And Steve's point here. And for the police to say there was no foul play without an investigation screams cover up. It does. Steve's 1,000% correct. 1,000% correct. Because we're used to this. But I just think about how many times we're told that we have to respect this country. We have to put our hands on our heart, and we have to cry over the founders. We have to call the people that would have been very upset that I'm even talking to a microphone, if they would have known what a microphone was at the time, speaking to people and not being in chains and not looking at white people in the eyes. There's a level of how dare you? And we have to agree that this has to be the norm. This has to be the norm. And I think for a lot of us, since 2020, we've become desensitized to this. But as Toni Morrison said, she said, I will always be shocked by racism. I will never normalize it. And as Assata Shakur, who just recently became an ancestor, said, is what you normalize, you then accept. You then accept, because it becomes what? Normal. It becomes acceptable. It becomes, well, that's just how it is. So please remember Nolan Wells, and remember that could be any of us. That could be any of our kids. In fact, Nolan Wells is our kids. All right. Moving on. All right. So this story, as we pivot, this was just crazy to me. I just want to just touch on this. I heard the story over the weekend, and then I heard some folks talking about it on the radio. But I'm just going to play the story, and then we'll talk about the other side. This is crazy.
So what would you do if you find a 20-year-old man in the house with your 13-year-old daughter? So check this out. A Memphis woman, she was 36 years old. Her name is Kendra Scott. She was arrested. She's being charged with first-degree murder. She came home, and she caught this man, 20 years old. This man was up under her 13-year-old's bed. Now, the police are saying that the girl, she secretly invited that man into her home. And then when she heard her mom coming home, because her mom came home banging on the door, and she, knew that he was in there. Some kind of way, she knew that man was in her house. She came in that house, baby, and she already had her pew-pew in her hand. So when she discovered the man up under the bed, she forced him out onto the front porch, and then she pew-pewed him in the back of the head. Now, they say that the girl had already told that man that her mama said that if she catch any man in her house or any boy in her house, that she was going to pew-pew him. I'm pretty sure the girl didn't think her mom was serious. I'm pretty sure that's something her mama probably just always said. Hey, if you bring a boy into this house, I'm going to unalive him. But the fact that she did it, and the fact that she waited until he walked onto the porch and then she pew-pewed him, they're going to charge her with murder. Now, some people are saying that they need to go ahead and let her go because she didn't do nothing wrong. That overgrown 20-year-old man should not have been up in her house hunching on her daughter. But then some people say no, she had no right to wait on that boy to get out the door and then unalive him. If she was going to do anything, she should have did it when she found him up under the bed, but not when he walked outside her door and then you hit him in the back of the head. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this.
So I just want to bring this to the attention of the chat, of the groups, the folks that pay attention to our audience, just because I feel like a lot of times we talk about the Epstein files, Donald Trump being a pedophile, the GOP being a protectionist racket for pedophilia and bad behavior. But then also, I think we forget that we're surrounded by pedophiles. That we live in a patriarchal society that says that women aren't only disposable, but they're for your pleasure and your leisure. And not just women, but girls and children. That we forget that there's a long history of pedophilia, especially coming out of the West, and how those things were lionized and amplified within even in text, right? I always say that Greek mythology within itself is a story of pedophilia and rape culture. So when we look at these things, I want to just bring it down because I think a lot of people think that you're always attacking white folks' payroll. Well, these are two black people. These are two black people. It's a black woman, black daughter, clearly, and then a black man who's 20 years old. But we're talking about here is the system of patriarchy, the system of systemic violence as it relates to women. And what we excuse and what our first reaction is to people taking and protecting those within who are vulnerable within their circle of influence seriously. Because if we were serious, and I believe all pedophiles should be put down. I feel like 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been a crazy take. I feel like I remember growing up, my grandfather was from a different time. This is not me excusing this, but he was very homophobic and anti-black within himself because he was raised in an anti-black society. He hated himself to a degree, even though he married a black point blank. But he would say something. I'm going to say it here because, and again, I'm not agreeing with the first part, but I understand the second part. But he would say, I hate an F. Hear me out, y'all. Crucify my grandfather all you want. Whatever. I hate an F. F-A-G, G-O-T. But I hate a pedophile more. Now, this in the Black church, of course, always symbolizes the conflagration of queer culture with pedophilia to be a scapegoat for those who are in power, usually in the church or in politics or in fashion, to then say that all the badness is happening within the queer community. Don't look over there. They're the ones raping kids. They're the ones harming people, not that. So in his mind, he was able to even still right size this, saying that I hate queer people, which is reprehensible. It's terrible. And he was a piece of shit for that. My own grandfather. But then he would say, I hate a pedophile more. And that was kind of the moral code, if you will. We're going to get into this in a second here as we talk about black voters and their conservatism. But that was kind of instilled into me. This is why I had to unpack patriarchy. I had to unpack misogyny. I had to unpack homophobia. But I think still saying that, like, if you're a pedophile and someone offs a pedophile, that doesn't harm the world. You were quite literally trying to hunt down the most vulnerable of our society. I mean, those kids have no autonomy. That 13-year-old had no she looks older than him. It doesn't matter. She's 13 years old. Her frontal cortex has not been fully formed, nor has his. But at 20 years old, I'm thinking about myself at 20 years old. I was here in North Carolina. I'd been down North Carolina for about 3 years at that point, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I was hanging around college chicks, and I was trying to get college girls. I was not trying to go to the local middle school to figure out where the eighth graders at. Where the eighth graders, where those rising ninth graders at. That wasn't my goal. And I feel like if I would have found myself in a position where there's a 13-year-old that like, and I feel like if you're ever questioning how old are you, you're probably don't need to be talking to that person. How old not? If you're asking how old are you because you want to see how much older you are, or if they're older than you, that's different. And I think we all understand that. But like, if you're asking because you don't know if this person is not 13 years old, you probably need to get the fuck away from there. You need to go somewhere else. And if not, you're a piece of shit. And and whatever happens to you happens to you. So in this situation, the mother, Kendra Scott, and it sounds like in some other reporting that she had told this young boy, don't, or this young man, don't come back to my house. So it's not like she even gave him a warning prior to, don't come back to this house. Then she finds him under the bed. Now, is the ill part is if it was, and I heard this attorney talking about on the radio, that if it was a crime of passion, which could have been a defense, doesn't mean you're not going to suffer legal consequences, doesn't mean you're not going to go to jail, doesn't mean the state isn't going to put its thumb up against you. But she could have shot him then, especially if she came into the house waving her pew pew. If she would have shot him under the bed and been like, yo, I saw what was happening. I saw a grown-ass man, my 13-year-old daughter. I don't know where the daughter was in contrast to this person under the bed. I don't know if she was on top of the bed. Maybe it's like he's gonna reach up like a boogeyman and grab her, pull her down to the depths of pedophilic hell. So I had to shoot him. Maybe that could have been the story, but that wasn't. It sounded like she fussed him out. And then by the time he hit the front porch, meaning outside of the home, still on the property, but outside the home, then shot him in the back of the head. I say free Kendra Scott. That's where I'm at. Free Kendra Scott. To Lorena's point, first degree is unheard of. Now, in second degree, right? Maybe manslaughter, maybe a second degree, because first degree means like you knew what you were going to do prior to going into the house. Now, if she's seen the car outside, or like there's that boy, there's that, I told him don't come back. We don't know all those details yet, or at least I don't. But I'm just bringing this up because I feel like we've all grown up in a time where we realize some of this stuff was normalized, right? There's movies with Clint Eastwood kissing 11-year-old girls. There's movies with Blank Check, the Disney movie, where I think he's 8 years old. He's kissing a grown FBI agent, and she's like, oh, and they're like making out because he got this. We have been indoctrinated into accepting pedophilia in so many different ways. So many different ways, from expecting women to constantly look like children. Word to Les Wexner from Victoria's Secret, and how they try to mold women through their products to say, have no hair, be constantly youthful looking, and as almost childlike, not youthful, but like childlike, to say that is the standard of beauty. And if not, you are no longer considered acceptable as a beauty standard, has really perverted our minds. So when we're in a situation where a mother sees her daughter in proximity to this grown, rusty ass man, and she takes upon herself to off him, I don't see too much of a big deal with that. Now, we can have that discussion, but let's see what the comments say, because y'all seem to be. This one is here. Here we go. We got Gabby here. Federal agents are shooting U.S. citizens in the head and getting away with it. Mom shooting a pedo on her property should not be charged of a crime. Listen. Come on. Oh, today's shirt. Love music, hate fascism. Word to Liz for that one. From España. Yeah. We have Jonathan Ross, who shot Renee Good in the back of the head and then called her a fucking bitch. I have to remind you, that was the whole shebang. And then they wouldn't allow her to get medical attention because she was still alive when her car wrecked. He's back on the force right now. We don't know where he is. His face is covered. There is no discernible nameplate, and he is actively terrorizing people in this country. And a mom shoots a pedophile on her property. And we're supposed to sit here and say that is the proper usage of our legal system. Come on. Chomos are the worst. 100% agree. 100% agree. Steve, no excuse for taking advantage of the lack of wisdom experience of a child. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's I know this child does not know what they're doing. I am a tax-paying adult. I should know better. And my job is to not be in this situation. But now I'm here and now I got a bullet in the back of the head. This should be a lesson for everybody who thinks, oh, it's okay. We're gonna, if this, what they say, the grass in the field, play ball. It's like, okay, you fuck around, you have a hole in the back of your fucking, you dead. He's dead as hell. He ain't ever coming back. He's dead as shit. And guess what his story is gonna be remembered as? The man who was under the bed, probably was a twin size bed of a 13-year-old and got blasted in the back of the head. Free Kendra Scott. Lorena. What 20-year-old wants a 13-year-old? That's what I'm saying. First of all, the purity culture got us fucked up too. Like the idea that men, oh, she can't be a whore. She needs to be innocent. This is all going back to the conditioning that we should want children. Because for me, as someone who is sexually liberated and has had my fair share of ladies in my time, I've always wanted someone who was a vet like me. I want that well-worn path because there's a certain level of freakiness that consensually that I want with my woman, and a 13-year-old ain't gonna get it. Again, it's disgusting within its nature, but the idea that, like, why would you want that? What are you talking about? She doesn't know what she's doing unless you just want to overly oppress her and make her your sex slave, which is fucking gross. And you deserve to be, I don't know, popped in the back of the head. But if we had this same energy for not just this young man, but for, all these Donald Trump, anybody on the Epstein list, we might be in a better place, but we're so stuck to, well, he's a politician and so the fuck what? If we're okay with this, we got to be okay with ripping Donald Trump's pedophilic ass out of the White House. We got to be okay with, not listening to Bill Clinton about shit. We got to be okay with, Les Wexner or not Les Wexner, but rejecting his corporations. I'm just like, we got to just stop this shit. We got to just stop this shit. What else we got here? I don't think that's about the same thing. First degree, we talked about that. Steve, consider this: the TV show and movie 21 Jump Street was adult cops preying on children, criminal children, but still children. Yeah. That's right. We've been conditioned, man. We've been conditioned. Whatchamacallit? What are those things called? Where John Benet Ramsey was in? What are those things? They'd doll him up and lipstick. What are those things called? Not Miss America. What is those things called? Y'all help me out in the chat. Where they would doll these girls up and they're wearing the big hats and they got little short shorts on. Their midriffs are open. My goodness. If I wasn't live on air, if I wasn't like deer in headlights, I would be able to pageants. Yes, beauty pageants. I was like, patents. I was like, that. Yes, pageants. Suzanne, thank you. Lorena taking it one step further. Pedo pageants, correct. These are pedo pageants, and it was for adults to judge these children. Oh, how sexy do they look? This is where Donald Trump saying when Tiffany Trump was an infant, is she going to have big titties like her mother? Is she going to have legs like her mother? It's sick. This is some sick shit. As we talk about sick shit, we're going to do another pivot here to the land of the misfit sick shits, which is Israel. Israel has announced that they are investing $50 million, spending $50 million to influence United States opinion on the state of Israel. 50 big ones. Uh-oh. Let me close this privacy shield. So Israel's $50 million influence campaign reaches beyond Iran's ceasefire. And with this, they have taken to a lot of different tactics. This comes as 42% of American adults hold an unfavorable opinion of Israeli people, and 69% hold an unfavorable opinion of the Israeli government. A July poll from Pew Research found, and Pew Research being one of the most solid research polls. I use that for a lot of my data that aligns with a lot of things I talk about. Pew Research is pretty good. The Wall Street Journal reported that Israel's 2026 budget to improve its image and global standing was set for over $700 million. In 2025, Israel's foreign ministry received $150 million on top of what it's getting for existing activities for public diplomacy, or in Hebrew, Hasbara. Hasbara is basically Israeli propaganda. And they've reached out to people like Chris Pratt, people like Steph Curry, but it was actually led by former Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale. You guys may not know Brad Parscale. I was very aware of him during the first Trump term. He was the comms director for the Trump campaign. Do you remember when Trump was having all those folks that were getting arrested? A bunch of folks were getting arrested that were like tied to the Trump campaign. Brad Parscale was.
Este hombre estaba manejando muy sobre el límite de velocidad.
When he got arrested,
Ve todo el daño.
I'm sorry. When he got arrested like outside in his underwear. So that's the guy. So, but before he was a part of the Trump campaign, what was he a part of? A little known thing called oh my gosh, now I'm losing that. The campaign finance thing, Cambridge Analytica. My God, today's not my day. Cambridge Analytica, which was basically the selling off of data to create personality profiles by Facebook, which is why they rebranded as Meta, to sway the election. So that's what Brad Parscale was doing before he was the comms campaign director for the Trump campaign, which he then got fired for. I mean, not fired. Well, he was fired and then arrested for this is under in the Trump regime. He got arrested and is now leading Israel's Hasbara campaign to change Israel's public perception here in America. He also is the CEO. He's also the CEO of Salem Media. Salem Media, which is a right-wing outlet for basically propaganda. And who works for Salem Media? Scott Jennings has a show on Salem Media. But they've reached out to folks like Chris Pratt, who is and I think is a terrible person. He's a right-winger. He's a white nationalist. We just had to deal with that. As someone who likes Guardians of the Galaxy, and my kids like the Mario movie, I understand Chris Pratt is a piece of shit, and that's why he gets these roles. Not a actor we would say is ripping down the doors, but someone who is ultimately tied to these nationalistic views. But they also reached out to Steph Curry. To run some of this thing. Steph Curry's been, he's used, he speaks at Liberty University, which is, Jerry Falwell's son's university up in Virginia. And he's been on some bullshit, to be honest. But like, it doesn't stop there. Steph Curry also, here, let me pull this up here. Because I was like, no, how far back does the Steph Curry stuff go? Steph Curry also, pull this up here. The Nation, this is from The Nation back in March of this year. Why is Steph Curry investing in Israeli security tech? You got to be real. Once you're a part of a side with one nationalistic settler colonial project, you will have no problem, making common cause with another settler colonial project. And Steph Curry is a Black Christian nationalist, which also ultimately is downstream of white Christian nationalism. He is a part of that kind of evangelicalized Black contingent, which we're going to get into in a second. But this is what it is, and not just Steph Curry, also his teammate on the Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green. Check this out. This is from 2018, but it's just showing y'all that this shit runs deep. On Draymond Green's Friends of the IDF trip to Israel. This is from 2018. Draymond Green refused to visit Draymond Green refused to visit Donald Trump, but he visited the Israeli president and posed as a sniper for the cameras. That's a problem. The picture here of Draymond Green, and I'm sure y'all have known Draymond Green. He does a lot of fouls and whatnot. He's known for being very tough on the court. And he's here dressed as an IDF sniper. An IDF sniper. What's in that scope? What's in that scope, Draymond? What is down scope that gun is pointed at? Is it a child? Is it a mother breastfeeding? Is it someone hooked to a ventilator? Is it just someone walking? Because if Hamas, this is 2018, this is, I don't know if you guys could do math, this is well before October 7th, 2023. If someone was just existing, that's who the side you're on, Draymond. If someone was just existing in Gaza, they were shooting them down. And this is who Draymond Green plays for who played for the Golden State Warriors along with Steph Curry. That's what he was doing. Now, if you were like a young 19-year-old basketball player coming from who knows where, and you don't got the bag, and like you did this shit back in 2018, it's like, all right, like, yeah, that's shitty, but like I kind of get that. But like not like some NBA vet who's like 35 and a parent, because like you're gonna go kill other kids' parents, or you're at least posing to whitewash or blackwash or NBA wash the violence of a settler colonial project like Israel. So we have to understand this year's $50 million insurgent fund towards trying to change the perspective of Israel is a long, long, long process of doing that, and history of doing that. That's not new. This shit ain't new. They've been doing this shit for a long time. But with that being said, I noticed something on Threads over the weekend. Really started on Friday, Saturday night. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Here we go. So I saw this trend of influencers online, and they all were saying the exact same thing. I'm gonna pull it up here in 1 second. And it's the Haley Stevens is growing on me bot onslaught is real. This is from Ryan Schreim. And it says here, the Haley Stevens has grown on me bot onslaught is real. Feel free to stroll on over to Twitter to check out for yourself. All this because Abdul al-Sayed stands up for Palestine. This is how badly Democrats want to kill Palestinians. Now, let's pull this up here. This picture. We got folks like Tim Miller from The Bulwark, who was a ex-Republican. He's a never Trumper. This is why I don't trust never Trumpers. Who was the speechwriter for Jeb Bush. He says, she's growing on me. I can't help it. Someone else, another influencer, I have to admit, Haley Stevens is growing on me. I kind of see it now. Someone else, Mary Luna, don't kill me, but she's growing on me. Guys, Haley Stevens is growing on me. I got to be honest, she's growing on me. If I was a Michigander, I would cast my ballot for Congresswoman Stevens in the Dem primary. The thing is, no one's telling you why she's growing on you. And if she's growing on you like an infection, like what does that mean she's growing on you? Can you tell me what policy you're interested in? What is she saying that's making you grow? What? It can't be this shit that I played last week. Let me see if I can find it here. It can't be this.
And in the United States Congress,
Is it this?
I will continue to fight for the people of Israel.
Is this what's growing on you? Is this what's so cool about her?
Existence.
Is this
Israel comes to me in my dreams. I see Israel's future.
okay? Is that what it is? Is that the hotness? Sorry, I'm trying to let me make this stop. My God, oh, what an odious, terrible voice. Is that what's growing on you? So it's not just that, but then going back to this. So it's not just her. It's not, or excuse me, it's not just those people. It's also, let me go back here. Okay. Also, this person here, Aurora Brit RVA says, I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit. So here's some more folks. We got and they all have blue checks. These are all blue check people, and I know you can pay for this. And then these are all saying that how authentic Haley Stevens is. Haley Stevens, with her thick Midwestern accent, is definitely the biggest and corniest character in the race. And yet she is also the most authentic because she gives off the least performative theater kid vibe. What? She quite literally is a man living a van down by the river. The Chris Farley character from SNL. Like, what are y'all talking about? I'm not being paid. Okay, that's a good way of opening up like you are being paid. I was told Stevens was an establishment stick in the mud for the past 6 months. And here I see the wildly accomplished woman with a unique, authentic personality. And it's awesome. Okay, these people are ridiculous. Meghan McCain, who, if you know her father, my father, Meghan McCain, says, a few days ago, I was poking fun at Stevens, and now I think she's arguably one of the most authentic Democrats in the game. She also got balls of steel for standing by Israel in this environment. What? Authentic, and she has balls of steel? Defending indefensible things does not make you have balls of steel. It makes you a horrible person, Meghan, like you. Your father would have hated the man who's the president. In fact, the man who's the president hated your father, who you love to say so much, my father. And now we have to listen to you tell us how authentic someone else is who's inauthentic. Racism has long hid behind the skirts of white women, as they said in the Tulsa Tribune in 1921 after the race massacre. Anime me, 100% Stevens shows no fear in being authentic. Okay, I'm just showing y'all. This is how it's been going on social media. They can't tell you she's authentic. I mean, they can't tell you why she's authentic. They can't tell you what she's. I'm looking here. I see Israel coming again. If you say Israel, blah blah blah, all it is because she stands with Israel. So I'm just making the connection. How it's all about Israel. It's all about Israel. And we can sit here and act like, oh, stop talking about Israel. But like, yes, everything connects. The reason you can't have good things is because of Israel. Quite literally. Oh, you want healthcare for all? If there's always, and I think when 1984, we were discussing reading 1984. But one thing that Orwell tried to teach us in that book, which has happened prior to him, but he was just putting it down in literary form, is that when there's always a need for ongoing war, it allows the powers that be, and in this country, that's the Democrats and the Republicans, or the Republicans and the Democrats, to both say, look, we're too busy focusing on this forever war that's unnecessary, that's illegal, that no one wants, and the polls very low, and we're getting our soldiers killed for no fucking reason. But we got to focus on that. So we can't focus on your healthcare. We can't focus on your education. We can't focus on the infrastructure. We can't focus on the basic quality of life things that you require because we're too busy with this war. We got to make sure we have the war stuff going. So whatever it is that you're talking about, your voting rights, we can't really get to that because we're too busy dealing with this war. 2 troops were just killed. That's the supposed number. I think it's a lot more than that. We have not right now asking about your voting rights. We have to talk about these 2 troops and cover cover your television screen with that. So when you have these folks who are like, oh, you're against Kamala Harris because she's black and a woman, you're against Haley Stevens because you're misogynistic. What we're saying is these operatives who are in the halls of power, because don't forget, Abdul al-Sayed is not in any hall of power. Haley Stevens is actively in the halls of power. She's actively voting to send money to Israel. That most recent vote, which even Jasmine Crockett did not vote for, she voted yes to take out for the amendment to take out the Israel spending. Jasmine Crockett did vote yes on that, which is the good side of the ledger. Haley Stevens voted no along with Hakeem Jeffries. And you know how the show feels about Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is my fraternity brother. Fuck him. We have to stop with these ridiculous boxes and it's like, well, if they're this part and you're that part, you can. No. Are you harming large swaths of people? Are you harming any people? Harming any people is disqualifying. Haley, this is the problem of having a duopoly, because when you have one side that is extremely crazy, fascist, racist, and you're presented with a lighter version of that, you have to choose between those two. But when you have a third option, that says both these motherfuckers is crazy, both these people are genocidal, both these people are harming millions of people, vote for me, I will make sure our tax dollars are devoted back to us. Because remember, when anytime a conservative tries to tell you we can't afford this and the liberals want to spend money on that and I'm fiscally conservative and culturally liberal, whatever that bullshit is, the reason why you can always point them out is the reason you can always call them out is by saying this. I say this all the time on this show. Every government on the planet redistributes wealth. Every single government on the planet redistributes wealth. If we are the wealthiest country in the history of the planet, as we've been told so many times, do you want that redistribution of wealth, which comes from the revenue generated by our tax dollars? Me and you, Mr. MAGA, me and you, Mrs. MAGA, me and you, Mrs. Moms for Liberty, me and you, Mr. Patriot Front. Our tax dollars, do you want those tax dollars to go to a South African billionaire like Elon Musk, who's an immigrant? According to you, you hate that. Do you want our tax dollars that me and you work hard at that, dildo factory? I don't know what the fuck they do. You work hard sweeping floors, whatever the fuck it is, which is all of those are respectable jobs. Do you want a 30-year paycheck to go to fund a ethno state in Southwestern Asia, Northern Africa, aka the Middle East? Or do you want those dollars coming back to us to make sure your kids have equitable schools? Did they have clean drinking water and no lead in their pipes? And you have no poison in your food, toys, and medicine. I think you would want that, right? Because every government redistributes wealth. Do you want our government, the United States of America, to subsidize another country that is engaging in an ongoing genocide? Now, Abdul al-Sayed then flipped this. He was speaking with Alex Wagner. If you guys remember her she was on MSNBC or MS Now. I think she's a part of Pod Save America. That's what this headline says. She was speaking with Abdul al-Sayed. Listen to how he flips this. And look how hard Zionists out here are really trying to push this anti-Semitism trope, which again, I just want to remind people, Palestinians and Arabs were not responsible for the fucking Holocaust. It was white Christian Europeans that were oppressing other Europeans in Europe. We got to be clear about this, because we keep acting like this is a 1,000-year fight between Muslims and Jews. This is not true. They need you to believe that to be able to eliminate these people. These are the foundational myths of settler colonial projects. But here's Alex Wagner, who I used to like a lot. I thought she was a very good journalist, but really trying to nail him down, and he does a fantastic job.
U.S. budget, and there's a question about to what degree Congress should prioritize spending on Israel, which gets at the central question for, I think, a lot of Jews in this country and a lot of Jews in your state is, the Jewish identity and the Jewish statehood is essential to them. And they may think the war is a genocide in Gaza, and they may completely disagree with Bibi Netanyahu, but their Jewish identity is as essential to them as their American identity. So I wonder, when you are thinking about those people, and they may support you, how do you help them understand where Israel exists on your list of priorities?
I was really grateful to grow up in a community with a large Jewish community, 40% Jewish. I had the privilege of being welcomed to shul and being welcomed to Seder and going to bar and bat mitzvahs growing up.
First of all, great job setting the qualifying. Like, hey, I was 40% Jewish town growing up. I was invited to Seder. I was invited to bar and bat mitzvahs. Don't play me. I love this.
A lot about the Jewish faith. I learned so much about the Jewish contribution to American culture and society, and I will do everything I can to protect Jewish Americans in this country from anti-Semitism. I also, in as much as I love the Jewish people and Jewish culture, I love and revere Palestinians and Palestinian culture. And most importantly, I love and revere the people I am running to serve here in Michigan. The idea that Michigan tax dollars should be sent to a foreign government that wants to foreclose on Palestinian rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination, which I hold equal to Jewish rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination. But the idea that our money is being sent to a government that wants to foreclose on one community's right to self-determination and being misused away from solving the needs of the people I'm actually serving is a pretty crazy thing. And in setting up this question about Israel's right to exist, you rightly point to the idea of whether or not there is American intervention that ought to be spent to enforce that. And I think the vast majority of Americans would say, whenever you think about Israel's right to exist, our tax dollars should not be used for the interests of a foreign government when they need to be used for the interests of the people living in our community on its own. So I believe in equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinians and Jewish Israelis alike. But I also understand that in an era where people ask you, how are you going to pay for that when you want to give people healthcare, or how are you going to pay for that when you want to give people good schools, it's pretty crazy to be sending our money over there when it could be used over here.
So no funding to ensure the survival or future of the Jewish state.
Well, I turn that back around on you, Alex, and say, why is it our responsibility to ensure that?
I'm just asking because I think
no, I mean,
people want a clear understanding. I think that,
hear me out. Why is that the essential framework? Like, why is it assumed that the United States ought to be in the business of backstopping a foreign government? Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't want ill will for Jewish Israeli people at all. I really don't. I just want equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination for all people. But the notion that somehow our tax dollars ought to secure the interests of a foreign government, like, this is the United States and our own kids don't have good schools, and you're telling me that that should be a primary concern over there? Like, imagine we said the same thing about any other country, any other one. Like, my family's from Egypt, okay? Like, would it be crazy if somebody was asking, like, hey, do you think Egypt has the right to exist? People like, Egypt exists. I'm like, well, if somebody wanted to change the nature of Egypt, do you think the United States should be spending all of its money to make sure, or any of its money to make sure it happens? People are like, I don't know, what that seems like a different country's issue. But like, I'm just saying that, like, you can both say that Israel exists, but it doesn't have a right to my tax dollars. And it is not our responsibility as American taxpayers to take money away from kids who don't have good schools and give the idea that our conversation even questions that is itself a big question you should ask. Like, why is this different?
I think AIPAC affiliates have spent about $15 million so far.
That is how you do it. That is how you do it. What he did there was reframe the entire argument around delivering for American people. We have been so beat in the head to believe that we should not demand anything from our fucking government, and that when the people in power know what's best with our money, and that they should be investing it into machines and machines of death, life-stealing processes and life-taking machines. He reframed that why is it our responsibility to keep Israel alive? What other country needs other countries to keep it alive? Now, we're not talking about trade or travel or business, none of that stuff, or exchanging of information. Rights to exist. It's always been crazy to me, because when we talk about rights are bestowed by bodies and organizations, right? The civil rights of this country, and there are rights under the Constitution. Those are all given to us by the United States government. So really, they take from us our rights and they give us certain things back, and they say those are your rights. We can take them away at any time. So in this argument, acting like it's our responsibility, specifically this country, to prop up another country to keep it alive, and if not, then we're a bunch of anti-Semites, is wild. Because again, to his point, you wouldn't live for any other country. Do you think Canada has a right to exist? Well, so you don't want to fund Canada. And the number 2 country that we fund is Egypt, where he's from. Why do we fund Egypt to the second amount? Because there's a border outside of Palestine, which shows how everything goes back to Palestine. There's the Rafah border outside of Egypt that they were paying the Egyptians to keep the Palestinians in, because we have al-Sisi, who is a president of Egypt, who has also been placed there by the United States government. This is well known. This is not Peyron spouting conspiracy theories. Look at the incursions in the early 2000s, late 90s. Look it up. It's there. And Abdul al-Sayed to say, why are we still doing this? At a certain point, okay, that's our most precious friend in the Middle East. Okay, at a certain point, why? We've all had friends for a long time, and they've done some fuck shit. And I'm not friends with that person no more. We've all had that at least one time in our life, whether it be in middle school, whether it be in high school, whether it be in college, whether it be just in life. We've all thought we knew somebody for a long time, and then that person ended up being another person or doing some heinous shit, and you had to separate yourself. What's the difference between that and Israel? But it's because Israel is not necessarily our ally. It's an outgrowth of American interests. It's a continuation of American interest. Israel is not our ally. Israel is America. It is a European settler colonial project like this is a European settler colonial project. That is why on the 4th of July, when all those Patriot Front guys marched on the Capitol, what did they say? They said they want a European blood to be the only blood on this soil, which means they don't give a fuck about America so much. But what do I always say on this show? No one hates this country as much as those it was supposed to be for, which is white men. If and the thing is, the Palestinians have said if the Palestinians just poof up and left somehow, Israel would be murdering themselves within the span of a month. Same way if black and brown and Latino folks just got the hell out of here, there would be a full-blown white-on-white civil war within a year because it's so massive compared to Israel, it's the size of New Jersey. This is what we're talking about. Uh-oh, comments is booming. I see y'all. I can't like jump in the comments too much because then it throws me off. So now let me go back. Got Amy here. Power to the people, not to the governments all around the world. That's right. Power to the people. The Republican Party is the Republican organization, I should say, is hell-bent on believing institutions equal people, whether it be the institutions of the government or institutions of business. This is why they say business spending is speech. Corporation spending money is speech. It's not. People matter. Does Israel have a right to exist? People have rights to exist, not countries. Countries have came and failed while we've all been alive. Most of us have been around back when there was a Soviet Union. Things change. This country wasn't set like this until Haiti kicked France out of Haiti, and Napoleon had to go sell French property to Thomas Jefferson, which was the Louisiana Purchase, and then it was French soldiers who also had Haitian soldiers help them fight back against the British. So we wouldn't have this country if it wasn't for that. But this is all the same history. People have rights to exist, not countries. Couldn't agree more, Amy. Lorena, we the people are the government. They work for us. That's right. That's right. I had this post on Facebook. I said because I'm just because I'm so tired of this whole conversation around black. The leftists are calling black people conservative, and we can kind of get to that now. But there's been this argument online that like the far left is saying that the establishment is the N-word, which it is not. So they're trying to say black people are the problem. And this happened. We're going back to Haley Stevens. This happened with Haley Stevens a few months ago when people were criticizing what we were talking about AIPAC and the Israeli dollars. They were saying you're being anti-Semitic against Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens, you're being anti-Semitic by criticizing her. Haley Stevens isn't Jewish. She's not a Jewish woman. So now the new line of argument is attacking Haley Stevens and calling her establishment is anti-black. You're really saying black people are the problem. It didn't work for the Jewish thing, and they wanted it to work against Abdul al-Sayed. So now they're trying to say Abdul al-Sayed is anti-black because you're criticizing Haley Stevens, and they're trying the misogyny tip. They're saying, well, you're talking about her voice and the way she looks. You're performing. You're performing. People who have no power have a right to say whatever the fuck they want to about you. And if they're not saying it's because she's a woman and blah, 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 they're saying her policies suck and she sucks as a candidate. And I don't want to hear her voice. It's not my fault that Abdul al-Sayed is more attractive. Same way, I mean, it's been a well-known thing in this country. They said the people who are predominantly more attractive win presidential elections now. I say Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. He appealed to the attractiveness of racism, if you will, in that situation. But in reality, it's this idea that they're trying to move things around to say, really, the real black people are voting for Haley Stevens. The white woman who isn't black, who voted to honor Charlie Kirk in Congress last year, who is not for Medicare for all, which would help black people because there's so much health disparity outcomes in this country. who is not for fixing the infrastructure of places like Flint, Michigan, where where's she running for? Michigan. But Abdul Al-Sayed, who literally wrote the book on Medicare for All, like quite literally wrote the book Medicare for All with Bernie Sanders. Because people are sick of this shit. All right, let me keep going into some of these comments because y'all are on fire today. I love it. I love this. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Roots heads. We defunded USAID because it was for the non-white people. Yes, Gabby. We defunded USAID because it was for non-white people. But all this shit is short-sighted, my friend, because that was soft power. People don't want to come bomb you. Marco Rubio said that. People don't want to bomb you when you are, and I hate Marco Rubio, but when he said that soft power is just as important as hard power, because you're not looking over your shoulder all the time because you are actually helping people. Now, of course, is this also a racket within the CIA to be able to destabilize countries and then take the resources? Yes. That's what USAID was. It doesn't mean that giving kids vaccines and giving kids food across the world who need it, because yes, we did destabilize their countries and take their source to that food, but still delivering it, right? That is the titular head of racism, and Haley Stevens is for that shit. She was for the defunding of UNRWA. She was for the dismantling of USAID. This is the couching of it all to say that look, she's got these Obama flyers paid for by the Democratic Freedom, whatever it's called, which is basically AIPAC. Let's see here. Lorena. Billionaires pay no taxes and get all the representation. That's right. Bernie Sanders and AOC did an endorsement speech for Abdul Al-Sayed on Sunday. And Bernie Sanders said that they've already invested $50 million into this senatorial race. A crazy amount of money from dark money, from we don't know where it came from. 50 million. And then AOC spoke after about that 50 million. She said, do you think that 50 million was for free? Do you think it didn't come with strings attached? Absolutely it did. Absolutely it did. Let's see here. I think was that it? Let's see. I'm trying to keep y'all too long. Here is staying in line with just the Islamophobia. Right wingers don't know what to do. They're really spinning out of control with this DSA shit. They're really trying to say it's the scariest shit on earth. These are the scariest people on earth, but they can't point out why. They try to say it starts out like this and then it ends like that, but they can't give an example of how it does. But here's Megan, my father McCain. We just read one of her tweets about the steel balls of Haley Stevens and how much she cares for her fellow beautiful New York Jews, not the ugly New York Jews, according to her. How much she's also afraid of Mayor Mamdani when he got elected. But here she is talking about Mayor Mamdani now. This is about 6 months ago. She said she was just as afraid when Mamdani and then his slate of Democrats got elected months ago. This is her now. It's so hard for them. It's really difficult for them to say how bad Mamdani is and how he is inspiring people to say our government should deliver for us. But check this out.
He's a generational talent. He's like Obama. Like we should all thank God he can't run for president because he would be a formidable candidate in about 10 years. I don't think Republicans are taking this seriously enough. I don't think Republicans realize that he's really the best messenger. Even if he doesn't run, if there are any candidates running in 28 who can somehow imitate or be inspired in the same way that he was inspired by AOC, we have a real problem. Republicans have a real problem.
He's always coming up with very interesting ways to incorporate the community. Like he jumps in the pool in his suit when the pool's opened for the summer, and he had kids instead of cutting a ribbon at some opening for whatever, like they do the big scissors and cut a ribbon for an opening. He had kids run through it like it was a football game.
How dare he? Oh my God. These are all things they're trying to say are bad things, or like why these are deficits within his character.
And it's like he always finds like very cutesy, like you said, folksy ways to do things that make him look like I'm just a regular man of the people.
But there's a secret there.
But if Democrats can somehow find a version of him that is like funny and kind and charming, socialism is going to be
and not crazy like
we're
Chevalier.
going to have like a DSA 28 candidate, and it's not that I'm saying it's going to happen. It's I think people will be into it. It's not just that they're going to propose it. I think like average Americans who are making minimum wage or not able to buy a house or all the issues we talk about on the show all the time. The guy I just listened to on the podcast is one of the most authentic figures I've heard in years. It's like other than Trump, I can't believe I'm hyping him up this much, but I think Republicans should be scared. And I also think that like our job, my job, our job, whatever, is like I always try and say we're kind of like tornado chasers. And if we tell you a tornado is coming, you better listen that the tornado is coming. Mamdani is a big freaking, what is it? Class 5 class was from Twisters?
F5,
Tornado.
F5.
F5. Thank you.
It's an F5.
Well, I'll say to her, the Republican Party's campaign to attack DSA and leftism, and to AIPAC and the Israel lobby spending $50 million to try to change the perception of Israel, and all of this is right. All this is right wing shit. Because if it was so organic, you wouldn't need to spend all this money. You would need this concerted effort to change the minds of people. But I say this: Humpty Dumpty sat on a great wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So spend it. Spend all that money. Blow all that money. Spend all that consultant dough. Spend all that time and effort and buy all these ads up and, force Bibi Netanyahu down our throats. The people will organically reject it. We don't care. Fuck ICE. Fuck Trump. Free Palestine. We don't care. We don't care. You cannot force us to care. You cannot force us to like you. And that's their biggest thing. They want us to like them. No. You can't genocide people and tell us what we're seeing isn't a genocide. You can't take from us and give to the settler colonial project that is actively engaging in apartheid and expect us to be like, well, it's okay. No. To hell with you. We don't care. So on leaving out today's episode on a high note. I'll get that on Thursday. This is a message from Jennifer Lewis. You guys know Jennifer Lewis. They call her the auntie of aunties in Hollywood. I thought she had a really good note she was on the Kiki Palmer podcast. I thought she had a really good note on what it means to resist and how to resist where you are. I just want to play this on our way out today. So this is my final video. Listen to Jennifer Lewis and how we all can get involved. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday. It was a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed the way y'all came to the chat today. It was dope. It was very dope. I was at Rom's in chat, co-host in chat. So if y'all could, again, please like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Roots podcast and platform. And listen to the words of Jennifer Lewis. And please let's take it further from what she's talking about. But I love this. Let's check this out.
I may get flack for this response, but I don't care. Here's what I say to all that is going on. It's going to take a lot of love to balance out all of this hate. We cannot become them. We cannot become them. We can't run from it. You can't go and cower in a corner and say, oh, this is not going to affect me. No, it's coming for your ass too. All of it's coming for your ass, even if it's an aunt or mother or sister that you love, or brother that's not going to have that health care anymore. It's coming to your door. It's going to come to everybody's door. And I say this to everyone. Live while you live. Live. Stand up where you can. Don't sit on your ass and let everybody else fight. You call a whole bunch of friends and you go out there and stand up for the next generation. Yes, I'm talking to you, and make sure it's on me right now. You do your part. We've had a good run. Now we got to run for these kids. You don't get to sit down on the couch and think this is going to pass over. It's not.
And what do you say to those of us, especially, you know, the marginalized that go out there and they're on the front lines and they're losing their lives? They're going to jail. They're being sent away, because I find that energy with myself, especially after having my son, where you get to this point and you're just like, I'm getting emotional about it because I get scared about people dying.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, I
I
do.
don't want to tell my queer friends to go out there and stand on the front line so they can lose their life. I don't want to tell my Latinx friends. I don't want to tell.
Well,
It's
I
hard.
want you to hear me though. Hear this. It's not the front line. It's standing up wherever you are. You don't go and stand in front of somebody with ice and go, girl, you don't do all that. You don't act out. You don't be stupid. There's a way to stand up without standing in front of a gun. There is a way to stand up. You write your congressmen, you write your senators, you make the phone calls, you send the emails, do your part. Go to your local meetings. Run for office.
Wow.
Do your part. Stand up where you are. 35.9 million people did not vote in 2024.